Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're doing a recap and review of The Bachelor season 25 episode 8. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. If you liked the video, smash that like button and also drop a comment down in the comment section below, because I do post notification shout out and I like to engage with my viewers and subscribers. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So in tonight's Bachelor episode, it's hometown week, and as we see, Matt is nervous to meet the families, but he is also excited to get to know more about the women's families. And we see Chris Harrison walks in to see the women and tells them it's hometowns and it's personal and it means everything. And so, of course, they are the remaining 4 women, and we see Rachel is very excited, and she can't wait to show her family how happy she is with Matt. There are different times, so the Bachelor has brought in people who are important to the women. They are not traveling there to their homes. So Serena's mom and dad and sister are there. Rachel's mom and dad and sister is there. Michelle's mom and dad, Brittany and her friend Bree, and her mom and baby sister is there. And Chris Harrison says that he is happy for all of them, and Matt is excited that they flew in as well. So, the girls are looking forward to this. They actually get that one-on-one time. There's no more group dates or anything like that. They actually get the opportunity for Matt to meet the families, and then, of course, have some special one-on-one time with him as well. So everybody's excited. Everybody's full of smiles. And then, of course, too, a lot of the girls haven't been in quarantine. They haven't really seen their families in probably, I would say, like 8 weeks so far. So, of course, they're also very excited to see them. So now Michelle is the first one to have her date. So Michelle tells Matt that she has a special day planned for him. She's very excited to see him. And I noticed one thing about each of the girls, and I've seen this in other seasons, is that the girls are excited, they run and they jump. I don't know. Let me know if you guys noticed that as well. But again, they're going on a bike ride, and the thing is that after they do their bike ride, and I thought that was a pretty fun date to do. I mean, because they're in quarantine, it's not like they can go off to a fancy restaurant or travel the world like we've seen in other seasons. So at least they were creative to, be able to use the property that they were on to go ahead and do some bike riding. So then we now see them entering a room, and some of Michelle's students, because she is a teacher back home in Minnesota, are on a video screen virtually, and they look so cute. And Matt feels like he is in her classroom. And we have one student that asks Matt what Michelle has taught him. Matt says to be open-minded. Another asks if he's going to give Michelle a rose, and Matt says he would have to wait and see what happens. And then another wants to know if they actually kissed yet. And then there was another one asked how many girlfriends he has. However, there was one tough question, which was how was Matt going to inspire Michelle every day? And Matt answered that by saying he's going to be her champion. So I thought that was pretty cool. Kids say the darndest things, don't they? I honestly think that was an awesome question for the kid to ask. So now they head out to a picnic outside together, and Matt tells he loves to see how she has impacted the lives of these kids. And she tells him that her parents were hesitant that she put her life on pause to be on the show, but she did it to be with him. And she tells him to show them what she shows her, which is that she's falling for. And of course, Michelle says that it's a really good day, even better than she imagined, and that she's falling in love with him. Now it's time for Matt to meet the parents, and she tells him to just be himself, and that they will see what she sees too. And Michelle is happy, of course. She haven't seen her family in a while, to see her family again. And it's been so long. And her family opinion means a lot to her, and she's hoping that they will be supportive as well. And, she also tells her parents that she was a late arrival in the show. Because if you guys remember, she came in at week 3. And she arrived right in the middle of a rose ceremony. So, the thing is, the fact that they hit it off so quickly was an awesome thing. We can see the smile on her dad's face because, he thinks she looks happy with her old smiling self, as she says. She had a couple relationships in the past that wasn't good. So, this is something that, of course, they talk about when her father, Ephraim, sit down with her. He tells her that he can see that she is happy. It's written all over her face. And she tells him that Matt likes to make a difference because he does things like she do in his life as well. And that's such a big thing that, of course, that she's looking for. People all talk, they don't do it. He asked if he was to propose right now. She said yes, she would. And you can tell by the emotion on her face that she really has some deep feelings when it comes to Matt. And that's why it was so easy for her to answer her dad about the proposal and whether she would say yes. And of course, she's excited and her father trusts her judgment. So Matt now has a conversation with her father, Ephraim. And, one thing that Matt says is that she likes to tell him how it is. And of course, Matt liked that about her. He loves the things that he want to accomplish himself in life, and the things that she also has is aligned with him and what he likes to do as well. He asked if Matt is in love with Michelle, and Matt says, of course, he's falling for her. So, of course, her dad wants to see if their connection is actually mutual. So then we now see Michelle sits with her mother and gets some support. And, of course, she's emotional and telling her mom how she really feels about Matt and their connection. And, of course, mom wants to make sure that she's all good, and that she's really in for whatever could come at the end of this. And then, of course, they go outside. They have a little basketball game. And I like the fact that they all got out there. It looked like they was definitely having a good time. And, of course, they shared a kiss and a little affection. And we even see Michelle's parents show a little affection as well. I thought that was cute. So Michelle sits with Matt after the game and tells him that she is falling in love with him and that she is very excited, but she's scared. But it's all genuine and her feelings for him is real. So, of course, we see them share a kiss. I actually think there, is a solid connection. She was one of my top at the beginning of the season. I think I had her at like number 2. But I can definitely tell that there is a connection there. So, let's move on to the next date. So our next date is time for Rachel to have her hometown with Matt. And she pulls up in this car. And guys, let me know what type of car that was. I couldn't figure it out. Drop a comment down in the comment section below. But I thought that car was pretty cool. But she met up with him. They sit and they talk. And, she reminds him that communication and honesty and trust is important to her. And then she takes out a blindfold. She puts it on him, and of course he's looking like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? And the thing about Matt, he likes this type of stuff. He was really cool with it. He let Rachel blindfold him, and she put him in that car, and then of course she drives him away. And where they drive to is an airstrip. They were on their way. And they drive into an airstrip, and she took the blindfolds off to let him know that they are jumping out of a plane 12,000 feet. And of course, he's like, oh my God. And again, he says that he's an adrenaline junkie. So this type of thing is definitely right up his alley. And looked like she wasn't scared either. And I'm thinking she probably have done this before. But the thing is, they did it. You can see those two of them. They're having a blast. Guys, let me know if this is something that you would do. It looks like fun. I know my daughter wants to try it. But they say once you jump out of a plane, your fear factor about life changes. So let me know what you guys think. But Matt lands first. And then, of course, we hear Rachel land and slam pretty hard to the earth. Matt is shocked. The thought of her being injured and banged up, it worries him. And he says that the thought of losing her at that moment when she felt hard wasn't expecting. And Rachel said it was a bad situation that actually turned out good. And she said that's what marriage is all about. So yeah, if you saw this episode yesterday, yeah, she hit that ground pretty hard. I was like, wow, I hope she hadn't broken anything. So Matt and Rachel arrived to meet the family. And Rachel is excited for her family to see how real her feelings are for him. She tells them about skydiving and everything. And she said her landing was a little rough, but that she was okay. I mean, I think she said she had a couple bumps and bruises, but, of course, the family looked kind of hesitant because they thought this was too soon, especially, her dad. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So now we see that her mom decides to take Rachel for a chat. Rachel tells her mom that she is falling in love with him and could see herself having a future with him. She says that she has had bad days with him and today was a tough day. Her landing was bad. She says she was bruised up. You couldn't tell by the makeup on her face. And the way he reacted and comforted her is how she would want her husband to react. So I guess she saw that as how would he respond in such a moment. And of course, he was very caring, very endearing in the situation. And of course, that's something that she says she was looking for in a husband. And she feels really confident in her relationship with Matt. And if he would propose, she would say yes. Meanwhile, Matt is with her father, Daryl, and he tells Matt that he doesn't think it's enough time to spend with each other and be serious. Matt says he's falling for Rachel. Daryl just think it's too quick to be talking about an engagement and marriage. It's just not realistic. And, he could be saying the same thing to the other women. Daryl then speaks about this whole thing with Matt, and you can tell that he is just, with the process of it all, is just not happy about the fact that in this short amount of time, can this actually be genuine, and the fact that there are 3 other women that's also involved, in the process, and, how can it work, In the meantime, we also see Daryl, her father, speaks to Rachel alone. And Rachel says that, she found these qualities in Matt that she hasn't found before. She also says it might be a little naive to think that he feels different about her than the other women, but she does. So, she was definitely trying to reassure her father because, of course, her father was very hesitant about the whole process. So Matt tells Rachel, and when they actually got a chance to sit down, that he did not want to ask her father for his blessing because he isn't ready yet. And when he is, he will call him. When he said that set Rachel back. She really thought that he would ask her father for his blessing, and she would be crushed if she doesn't end up with Matt. So, obviously, with this situation, with everything that's going on, I'm just going to stop there. But we see from this episode, what has happened, and where they are with their feelings. And we'll definitely see at the end of this what happened with the whole situation. So let's move on to our next date. So now it's Bree's time. And she was one of his first one-on-one dates. And they have so many things to connect on. He's in a place with Bree that is comfortable, and he hopes they can push past that today. And what they do is they go for a bumpy ride in a 4x4. And the thing is, the reason that Bree chose that, because I don't know if you guys remember the episode in their one-on-one date. I think it was like a little dune buggy type thing, but it flipped over because he was driving erratically. And so she was saying that this is kind of like payback for him. And I'm telling you, you ought to see Matt's face. He was like, you got me. I mean, if you're trying to give me payback for that, our one-on-one day where we flipped over, yeah, she got him back on this one. So, guys, let me know down in the comment section about this one. Do you think Bree got her cute revenge on Matt in regards to her driving crazy and having him go through all of that? I thought that was funny. So then they sit down for a picnic, and she tells him that she's excited for him to meet her family. She also tells him that her mom is there and she's going to be tough. She also mentions that she doesn't have a conventional family, but she hopes that it's enough for him. And I do remember him also saying that, my family is just as unconventional. She and Matt was number one on my list because when you see these two together, they just have a connection that's just, it's a beautiful connection. And, of course, I don't give spoilers, but, I'm hoping, or I am hoping, I don't know how I want to describe this, that they would be the one to end up in this. But, of course, a lot of us know otherwise. But I honestly, wanted Bree and Matt to be that winning couple at the end. So now they arrive to meet her mother and her best friend. Bree's little baby sister is there. So we got to see the new baby. And of course, her mom is overwhelmed with joy. The thing is, too, is that how Bree, was really connected. Of course, that's her little sister. Matt noticed that, to get to see her with a baby, and it gave him ideas of what a future would look like with her being a mom. And I mean, her friend was super emotional. I mean, the connection even between the four of them was really, really nice to see. So then we see where Matt actually have a conversation with her mom, Lauren. Matt tells her that the level that they've connected on is different than the connections with other women because they were both raised by single women. And she asks if he's in love with her. He said he's falling for her. She tells him that she's a realist and she wants to get her hopes up, but she's afraid of getting, of course, turned down. And he says, of course, he absolutely sees her in his life. And of course, her mom is concerned, and that's understandable. She now gets the chance to speak with her daughter, Bree. She says that this is the first time that someone is looking at her. Lauren says when you have a connection with someone and they feel it too, it's special. Bree says she feels like she's falling in love with him and she's so scared. Her mom says she wants to protect her, but she has to make a commitment to herself to be honest and vulnerable. And she knows she has to let her wall down. And of course, she needs to tell Matt that. Otherwise, he won't know. And so I'm, like I say, when Matt says they have a different connection, yeah, it's different than the other four girls, but I actually think it's a deeper connection. And I honestly, I was hoping for them. So afterward, Matt and Bree sit down, and she says after talking to her mom, Bree is falling in love with him and just wants to have more time with him. And her days with Matt continue to get better and more amazing. And she's happy to have had that day with him. And he will have no doubts where she is in the process. So, I mean, they look good. I know I'm just continue to ravish over these two. But I honestly think that their connection is so beautiful. They look good together. Their connection is just off the charts. So, of course, a lot of us already know what the ending is, but, I'm just going to watch the remaining part of the journey. But I honestly, was rooting from the beginning with both Bree and, of course, Matt. So, we will see as this last few weeks continue. So, we have one more date. So now it's time for the last hometown date, and this one is with Serena. She can't bring him to Canada, so she's bringing Canada to him. And so she's excited about meeting him. She got the biggest smile on her face. She's a giddy one. I mean, she's real fun and playful. And there's a map of Canada that she shows him, and Markham is on the map. So, of course, they're pointing that out. She goes over with him on the Canadian lingo and hilariously thinks toboggan is actually a hat. Then there is dishes that she showed him. And the first dish is poutine, and then the next one I think is called pea meal bacon. And then there was beaver tails, Nanaimo bars, and then they start playing hockey. So everything that was from her Canadian background, she brought to him, since, of course, they couldn't go to Canada. And, they're having a good time, and they share a kiss. So that was cute. So it's time to meet her family. Matt is beyond nervous. Serena is someone he can imagine spending the rest of his life with, and he just want to make a good impression. Of course, Matt tells her parents that he's blown away when he met Serena. And Serena's mom, Razna, I think that's her name, she had a sit-down with Matt, a sit-down conversation. And he says to her that he likes that Serena's smart and beautiful. She doesn't take crap from anyone. And then, of course, Serena's sister, Talia, tells her that she doesn't look smitten with Matt. She says that she's worried that she'll get engaged and then realize that she's messed up. And her temperature and facial expression actually just changed in that moment. I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting because she's been smiling giddy for most of the last 7 episodes. And then all of a sudden, boom, the bottom fall out of all of this. And so, she sit down and she have a conversation with her mom because suddenly she got a lot of doubts. And her mom asked her if she enjoys time with him. Her mom asked some questions, and for the most part, she said yes, but Serena says that there's just something that is causing some deep doubt. And her mom tells her, it's because of your last relationship, and you got hurt badly, so a lot of that is some of the pain that she's dealing with. And I don't think she has properly processed it yet because she's bringing that into a new relationship. And before she do that with even Matt or anybody else, she needs to try to figure out how to deal with that. So now they have a sit-down conversation after everything, and she says she's struggling with her feelings and don't want to make the wrong decision. She has fear of falling in love with him. And, choosing someone else, she don't want her heart broken. And, of course, he's headed home. And she's thinking like, oh, my God, I don't know. It's just I'm not sure. And this is where now, because she's not sure, Matt is feeling some kind of way. Chris sit down with Matt and ask him if there's any concern. Matt said, yeah, Serena. He has given her as much of him as he can, but he doesn't know where she is. And, there's a lot of questions. And he want to fight for the relationship. Something's off with Serena after meeting her family, and he knows she has doubt and wants to speak to her about it. He sees a life with her, a family with her. So, he wants to get to the bottom of this. So seeing that, of course, she's struggling, he wants to know that the person that he wants to spend time with and spent the most time with, what's going on. He sees a future with her. So he shows up at the door, and she says that she thinks it's important to have an honest conversation. She says that she's had moments where she struggled, had doubts. When she first became aware of those feelings was when she spoke to her mom. She struggled with speaking with him about her feelings. And she thought it was because she was scared, but it's more than that. And it comes down to the fact that she doesn't think he is her person. And the reaction, of course, she was. I applaud the fact that she's very transparent about this. I think a lot. I know I've seen in social media, some people said that maybe she should have said this a lot earlier, but she just mentioned that she got those doubts when speaking to her mom. So obviously this is new feelings. So Matt is clearly speechless. He says he don't know. It sucks to hear this. And he felt it after, of course, they left the parents' house, that, something was off with her. Again, he says it sucks to hear that, but he wants what's best for her. And if it's not him, it stinks. And she says that, she's not there. She don't know if she could get there. And she's emotionally torn up about it. So he says, of course, I know the thumbnail says one thing, but he says, do you want to walk me out? And Matt is so disappointed. That's now how he saw his journey ending. Matt is crying. Matt is scared because the other three women that's still involved, he's concerned about where they are, and if they have some doubts now. So, yeah, it was an interesting scene because it looked like it had flipped a little bit, which is why I created the thumbnail as such. So now it's time for the rose ceremony, and the girls are looking around like, we missing somebody. Where's Serena? And yeah, everybody was kind of concerned. And then, of course, Matt tells Chris Harrison that the resolution after the conversation with Serena he did not see, but of course that, she went home. Matt also tells the three women remaining that Serena couldn't see herself as a wife, so she's not there. He also tells them he wants them to think long and hard before they accept the rose tonight as well, so they need to be sure too. So, of course, they're looking like, okay, but, it's down to 3. So the first rose goes to Michelle. The second rose goes to Rachel. And then the third rose, of course, goes to Bree. And all 3 women accept the rose. He thanks all of them for being patient and says he's excited for the next 2 weeks. Michelle, of course, is excited about fantasy suites. And then she said, I'm finna get my hubby. Then we have Rachel, who is giddy about having a future with Matt, but she's worried about the stronger feelings. And Bree was concerned about the fact that she got the rose last. Does that mean anything? So next week is Women Tell All. We will see what happens. And let's do our post notification shout outs. So feel free to drop a comment down below. I will see you and shout you out. So for this video, the shout out goes to Beatrice C. Thank you so much for engaging in the channel. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next week for Women Tell All.